the gospel in other parts of Asia, the Bible tells us that the Holy Spirit prevents them from doing so until they get all the way to the end of Asia, that the next place they could go into was into the water, because land had come to an end. And when they get there, Paul sees a vision or a dream at night of a man's body of water. Maybe God was saying, let's cross over into Europe. And so for the very first time in the history of the Christian faith, the preaching of the gospel goes across from Asia into Europe. And when they get there, the town that they particularly get into is Philippi, which is where this story that we have before us takes place. And 3 individuals get converted while they are ministering in Philippi. The first one is a businesswoman. Her name is Lydia, probably fairly wealthy and probably sponsoring something of the communal life of the 16 down to verse 15. The second person to be converted is equally an unlikely candidate. And it's a young lady that had some magical powers, some abilities to predict events in people's lives. And she was being abused by others by using her to bring wealth into their pockets. Well, she got converted, and immediately the people that were abusing her lost their business. And so they created trouble for Paul and Silas, and in the end, they found themselves in prison. And it is in the context of the prison that the third person got converted, a civil servant, an individual employed by government in order to look after the local prison. And that's our story that is there before us. I want to commence reading from verse 25. Verse 25. So these individuals let's read from verse 19. But when her owners, the people that were making money out of her, this young girl, saw that their hope of gain was gone, they seized Paul and Silas and dragged them into the marketplace before the rulers. And when they had brought them to the magistrates, they said, "These men are Jews, and they're disturbing our city. They advocate customs that are not lawful for us as Romans to accept or practice." The crowd joined in and attacked them, and the magistrates tore the garments off them and gave orders to beat them with rods. And when they had inflicted many blows upon them, they threw them into prison, ordering the jailer to keep them safely. Having received this order, he, that is the jailer, put them into the inner prison and fastened their feet in the stocks. It's this gentleman that we are going to be thinking about in this message today. We are told in verse 25, about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the prisoners were listening to them. And suddenly, there was a great earthquake, so that the foundations of the prison were shaken. And immediately, all the doors were opened, and everyone's bond was unfastened. When the jailer woke and saw that the prison doors were opened, he drew his sword and was about to kill himself, supposing that the prisoners had escaped. But